Yeah, 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 yeah. Welcome to me casa, make yourself at home, do your do. Welcome to my pad, this your lab, go create your move. I got a crib.
Okay, y'all. Thanks for tuning in to hear me talk, and we have a special guest today. You ready? No, Jay. We got one of my, I'll say, the best friend that I've ever had.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's a big old statement right there. But man, me and this dude have been through it and came out on the other side. I mean, obviously we still working and all, but this dude has inspired me to do a lot of stuff, to continue to get better in my life. And I think his main goal, which we'll hear in a little bit, is to inspire others as well, not just his friends. And he's trying to make an impact on these young people. Did I get that right? His name is Micah Mills.
Yeah, you got my name right.
Micah A. Mills.
Right, you already know.
Good to have you on the show, man. How you feeling?
Oh, man, it's great to come back home. It's always good to be back home and always good to spend some time with my boys. So let's get at it.
Yeah, I know this has probably been a dream. We always talked about when we was younger, like, man, what if we have this recorded or, well, some of the stuff we didn't want to have recorded. But but some of the stuff is just like, man, like, just to show people a little background on how, I guess what our personalities were, because we behave. Mm-hmm. But we have a fun side, and
sure.
It's just fun to get it out there and see how we behave together. Because we two peas in a pod.
This guy.
And just to let y'all know, man, Micah, like, I love my family, and we get down, we have fun, and when you mix my family with Micah's family, it's so.
Oh yeah.
It gets a little wild, and we have fun. We know what we're doing, and man, I just love your family, man. Your mom, your sisters, and all. We'll get to them though later. We don't want to give them too much a mention on the thing, because then Felicity, Jasmine, they're gonna want to come on the podcast.
Here we go.
But I mean, are you nervous at all? You ever done anything like this? I know you speak in front of kids, stuff, but it's a different space for you. So
yeah, no, I'm not nervous. The biggest thing is, like, you didn't give me any questions to prepare for, so that's a little different. It's gonna be straight off the cuff, real, authentic. But nah, man, I'm excited to hopefully give some people to think about, and excited to dive in with you, man. It's been awesome to see your podcast grow just over this early course with you and Josh, all just pouring into people, letting people hear different things, and everyone I've heard so far, I've picked up on several nuggets. So nice. I'm excited to hopefully I can give a couple of those out as well.
Well, I'm pretty sure you will. Yeah, and Josh, you didn't really get to speak last episode, but feel free to chime in.
Hey, man, Josh be jumping in sometimes. I'm like, I forgot there was a third person. It's gonna be hard to get something in on this one.
Yeah. Oh, and I owe you an apology, Josh. I'm sorry.
Hey, look, we ain't even let him talk yet.
I know, but I owe you an apology.
I'm just gonna turn it off. Turn the mic off.
But I owe you an apology. I came at your professionalism. You done a great job last episode, and I was listening to it, and I was just like, wait, why I say that? Josh is doing a good job. It's just that one time, remember on Jamal's episode, we had stopped, and then you were like, wait, you guys are talking about some real stuff. Let's keep recording. And then Steve was out doing his yard work, and he was like, wait, where are we jumping to? What's he going? So that was you would have to pull something out of your hat to make that kind of just flow.
Yeah, there wasn't really a transition there to that one.
But no, you were doing a great job, and I appreciate all the work. The logo, the merch is out. Get Level Podcast Network. But the link will be in the description. We got to put the link in the description to get to that to your merch store.
Hit subscribe.
Oh yeah, subscribe and like. Yeah. That'll help us out. Nah.
Hit subscribe.
But we'll be on YouTube, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. Spotify just signed Joe Rogan to that big old deal, so we're gonna have to put some video on Spotify as well. Were you aware of that?
No idea.
Yeah, he just signed a big deal with Spotify to take all his rights, all his podcasts and everything to Spotify. So,
okay.
Good for him. He got that bag, 100 mil.
Next.
I like Micah's optimism.
Hey, just give me something on the side.
Oh my God.
Let's dive in. What we getting to?
Well, I guess your childhood. I mean, I don't really want. I've been talking a lot of childhood with everybody, but Steve, we didn't get through it too well, and I want to get to, more pressing matters and just, talk about what we've learned as grown-ups. But you can just briefly touch on growing up with your family because they've had a huge impact. So,
yeah, man, let's just dive in with first. I'll start off with just how I was raised real quick. Like, my mother, raising me and my 3 older sisters in the household. Predominantly by herself for the most part, right? And so she instilled in us a lot of confidence early on to let us know that no matter what background we come from, no matter what situation we're in, that we can be whatever we want to be. And so she always instilled that confidence in us to make sure we remembered that. And then, I had a unique relationship with my father growing on, just a little different, but it still was great. And it was always, great for me, and the connection I had with him and the relationship that grew into. And him just teaching me always to self-reflect. He was really big on me self-reflecting, and that was impactful for me. And then the relationship I had with my grandparents was just second to none. Nanny and Papa, who all my friends know as Nanny and Papa.
Yep.
And the lessons and wisdoms that I gained from them, man, was instrumental on my life. So I think those are the 3 kind of main staples. So I'll start there. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's similar to me as well. But the relationship you have with your dad is a little different than one I've had because you matured and your dad's still there. With my dad, it was more of the father-son. That's the only type of relationship we had. We didn't have that. Like, all right, I'm grown now, Dad. We can have different discussions.
Right.
And I missed that. I wanted to see what those would be like. But I know, just the way your dad speaks, he's well-spoken.
Yeah.
He knows, he's good at passing on information. So I could see a lot of what he's done. And I also could see a lot what Martha done because, that confidence she's instilled in you is there. And I always kind of envied that growing up because I think I might get to that on another podcast, not even this podcast, but just talking about mental health with on another one. But that's something I struggle with, and I don't know if you ever noticed that when I was growing up. But it's confidence, not socially, I can talk to anybody.
Yeah, but confidence comes in a lot of areas of our life.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I was always envy of like how you carried yourself, especially when we were playing basketball and stuff like that. But I guess let's talk about how you grown to love basketball. See, these questions are easy. I'm just tossing them
out. Man, grown to love basketball. Man, from the time I can remember, I've always watched basketball and played ball. It helped, I guess, at a young age where my sister Krista, who's the oldest, was a huge basketball fan, and and I was the young one. She really took me under her wing at a young age, and so I was watching Allen Iverson with her when he was at Georgetown. I was watching, she loved Michael Jordan, so I was watching the Bulls with her. My whole family was watching it really, but Crystal loved basketball, loved to watch. And then my grandma, Nanny, she loved Michael Jordan, so, I would go over to Nanny's house on Sunday afternoons after church, and we would watch the Bulls game at 3 p.m., and then she would record them for me as well. Because most of the time growing up, we didn't have cable. So she would record them on VHS, and then I'd go back home and watch them. And I just loved the game and grew in it that way. And then early on, playing at the YMCA. And I think it's always important in anything you do at a young age is to experience some type of success at a young age to really feel that fire. And because I was playing and being able to dribble with both hands at a younger age, like I kind of had that success in my younger days and just fueled that fire. I still remember the first time we had our big duel matchup and we won. And you were throwing your shoes on the court. And
Did
Big
you
Perci,
hear us talking about that?
I was dying because I still remember Big Perci coming on the court. It was like, hey. And then the crazy part was, you remember, like the rest of the season that year in the league, we didn't keep score.
Yeah.
Like they stopped keeping score after that.
Yeah, after that.
I was
I
like,
forgot about that.
I was like, this dude don't ruin it for all of us. Like, but yeah, I had that as success at a young age, man. I loved it, man. It's so fun, and I still get excited about it to this day. So,
and all the South School athletes, we drove that,
already
the competition on the playground
already.
I always got to bring up South School.
South School, everybody know that's where the best athletes come from. We already know.
Oh, shoot. But no, man, I mean, many people don't know, but basketball was my favorite sport as well. But, you just you were dedicated. And I always noticed that. Obviously, you didn't play baseball as much as I did and stuff like that. I mean, you did play when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
But then obviously you focused on football and basketball, and I mean, it showed. I loved going to watch you play college ball, man. And, you know, I truly believe that, you know, you could have got, you know, bigger, more opportunities if you were bigger.
Yeah, yeah.
But, hey, you did what but now you doing something else. Like, so obviously you love basketball and you love, you know, inspiring people. Before we get to, you know, college coaching, let's talk about the PGC project that you participate in.
Yeah, so after I graduated from high school, I was looking for something to help me bridge that gap between being a high school basketball player and a college basketball player. And my father gave me for a graduation gift, he said, hey, I found this camp. It's called Point Guard College. I don't really know much about it. These are the reviews I had on it. It seems like it's legit. It seems like it's great. He was like, hey, I'll pay for this for you to go to this camp because it's an expensive camp. He's like, I'll pay for this for you for this camp, or I'll give you money for you for a car. And I was like, hey, let's go to the camp.
Dang, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
Yeah, so that's how I present. So we went to the camp, man, and ever since then I've been back every summer, you know. And I attended that summer, and at the session I attended, just so happened the owner was there, and I did some things to really stand out. And he just took a liking to me and really took me under his wing. And Mono Watts is his name, still a mentor of mine right now to this day.
What's up?
And, you know, I grew from being an athlete at the camp to being a basket instructor to being an assistant director. And now for the last 4 summers, I've been directing my own sessions all over the country, even been down to Mexico, been different places. So, yeah, it's been great. Well,
I'm gonna rephrase that one sentence you said. You said just so happens. I think it was planned out by someone overwatching everything. You know, we're going to take Micah's personality and we're going to stick the owner here because we know it's going to rip off. And, you know, that's how relationships are born.
Yeah,
but,
facts.
But, no, man, I've always admired, you know, the PGC that you talked about it a lot. And just to hear you and actually see now some of the speeches you give and just the impact you have on those kids, man, is great just because, I mean, I know you and I know, you know, the strengths you have. And it's just it's great to when God blesses you to be able to share that gift and, you know, take advantage. Because I think my nephew, he has a poster and it says something about, I'm going to mess it up, something about it's not about the gifts that you gave that God has given you, but, you know, about how you use them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a lot of people can use them for bad or for good, but it's good to see that you've chosen to use them for good. But
it's so great to you got to use your blessings to bless others,
mm-hmm.
you know, in all ways, shapes, or form. And you know, I've been blessed with the ability to connect with people, and I use that through the game of basketball. So
it's a beautiful thing. Now, I'm trying to do it on a different thing. I'm trying to use this podcast now. Other than I already know you, but I'm still learning some new stuff. I'm using this podcast to learn more about people. But you know,
what you want to know? What you want to know?
Well, I like what anybody you want. I got a shout out to make.
Okay.
And you know who this person is? He just turned 30. He old as dirt. But
I'm 31, so I'm trying to figure out
what's
that make me. Now go ahead.
But it's one of my receivers in high school who didn't have a touchdown until the playoffs. His name is Kyle Sattler. But just want to shout out to you for your birthday, man. Happy birthday. And
K-Sat, where you at?
And also I just want to say, you know, congratulations on having the best roll call on the Dover Tornado basketball team. Oh, but that's enough of that. Maybe we'll have you on the episode later. But, you know, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? Some special someone out of that doesn't live in this country?
Chill out, man. What you on, man? No, that's all. I always give a shout out. I always give a shout out to my girl Claire Murphy.
Hey, okay.
But I don't know why I need to do. That's real awkward right now.
No, don't man. Hey, come on, Micah, you ain't awkward. Anyway, so Claire, let's just say Claire is you know, Mike is hard to impress if you're the opposite sex.
Oh gosh.
And I'll see, you know, this man grow in his relationships, and it's just it's nice to see him with someone that, you know, I guess can reach his level intellectually. And the COVID kind of forced us to get to know Claire quicker than I think it would have happened, which is good. There's been some good out of this COVID.
Yeah.
But we've been having our weekend Zoom calls or Google Hangouts, and we have fun. But we learned a lot about Claire, and she's got opinions, and she don't hold back, and I like that about her because that's exactly how you are. And most people say opposites attract, but I think you guys have being strong opinionated and having that intellectual bond.
For sure, I think that's huge for me. Like even our relationship, any of my closest friends, and now definitely Claire is in that. Is like I love to be able to laugh and joke and have a good time, but at the same time, like I love to get serious, right? And I love to dive deep into things and unpack that statement you just made and how do you truly feel about that and this is going on. Let's talk about, let's discuss it, because I think it's so easy just to brush things over the table or brush them under the rug, however you want to put it. But to really get to know people, man, you got to dive deep with them. And that's been so awesome about our relationship as well. Just every situation has allowed us to dive deeper with each other. I still remember, we used to take those long walks at like 11 p.m. We would walk from my house all the way up to like Dover Middle School and back, man, and just talk about everything. Talk about you and Krista. Talked about college coming up. Talked about being a quarterback at Dover. Talked about all that stuff, man. And so deep connections always been important to me.
Yeah, those were the days.
Right.
But yeah, so it's always be able to to have those people that you can reflect on, and Micah's always been that for me. But I'm glad we had that in there. But let's go to college coaching. So where was your first job? Was it Otterbein?
Man, you want to talk about coaching? Period. Like my first coaching job.
Yes.
Or my first real coaching job was obviously being a water boy here at Dover football.
I like it.
Yeah, that job right there taught me so much, and the biggest thing about that job, one of the biggest things about that job, was how I still got that job. And I don't know if I ever told you that story. No,
I was jealous of how you and Daniel had it. I wanted to be on the sideline too, but go ahead. You was on the sideline with Colbert. I'm like, I want to be over there. Like, how'd you get it?
So my mom was just, like I said, always looking out for us and trying to instill confidence in us and teach us lessons as she was still pursuing her dreams and aspirations as well. So one of the things she did, she told me in the summertime, she was like, hey, instead of you just going over to Nanny Papa's all the time, like what if you went with the football team? And I was like, oh, that would be great type thing. She was like, okay, like would you be willing to be the football team's water boy? This was going into my fourth grade, so this is in between third and fourth grade, right, the summer of. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like I'm thinking she already has it set up, right? And so she's like, okay, great. So we drive up to the stadium, and they just got done, finished their morning lifts, morning workouts in the summertime. And she's like, okay, I talked to some people, but you got to go talk to Coach If and ask him if you can be the water boy. And I'm like, what? I was like, wait a minute. Like, I thought I already had it. He's not that
intimidating.
No, he's not that intimidating, right. Back then, he was always lifting with us anyway, but he was real swole, right? So I'm like, okay. So I walk up, I'm like, are you serious? She's like, yeah, like if you want the job, like go ask him when they come by. So I waited by the door, and like he came by, and I kind of was like bashful and kind of was just like, hey, Coach, my name is Micah Mills, and I went on to know if I could be the water boy for the football team. And he kind of I still remember he kind of asked me, he's like, do you get good grades? And I was like, yes, sir. And he was like, do you know how to carry water? And I was like, I remember being like, I can learn, like I can learn type thing. And then he said something about his son Daniel. And I was just like, yeah, awesome. Like he was like, becoming friends with Daniel, and like his son helps out as well. And I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And that's how I got it. But that first job, man, just that moment of pushing me outside my comfort zone was, even at that age, like I still look back on that and just like I learned at a young age of being outside your comfort zone is usually a good thing.
Yeah.
And just how uncomfortable I was about speaking out. And man, that led to me and his relationship again to this day. Has been phenomenal, and just the influence I got to see every day of what a coach can have on young men was very impactful for me, right? So I got to see that at a young age till 8th grade, and then obviously when we started, getting on varsity and then playing for him. So that was probably my first coaching job. Then my second coaching job was with the Biddy Ball team.
Oh, yeah.
I had Mason Mammarella. We won the championship that my junior year. I came in there in a suit and tie for that championship game.
Where was I at? What was I doing?
Yeah, your team lost. That's where you was at. What you mean?
Oh, and speaking of Biddy Ball, Steve said he figured out that he was your coach when you were in Biddy Ball. Him and Matt Fonders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Josh, he was your coach. He was like, "Oh, Josh, oh, come on, man." So Matt reminded him of that. So now part 2, he's probably gonna bring that up. But
Yeah, so yeah, Biddy Ball was great. It was such a great way to give back to kids, man. But I loved Biddy Ball, and that's when I really started to get a passion for coaching even more. Is just like, again, that early success I talk about and being able to connect with that age group, was great for me. So
I mean, it was obvious though. Like everybody knew. Parents, when they're watching their kids play, they're like, "Dang, Micah's like, he's trying to win out there. He's taking it serious, and he's coaching. It's not like you're yelling at the kids, and you're not also brushing them off. You're interested in them. You're not just trying to win. You want to better them for the future. And I just always thought it was funny back then, but now it makes sense now.
Yeah, it's great, man. I always tell people when they ask this question, like, I'm so blessed to have been coached by really 3 Hall of Famers, because Coach If, obviously we know Coach If is a Hall of Famer, Coach Von Kendall's a Hall of Famer, but like Coach Gunther's a Hall of Famer in his own right as well, and to have those 3 men always pouring into me and taking me under their wings in different areas, and then like even to this day, I have a positive relationship with all 3 of those guys, and it's been truly, it's special for me, and I just always wanted to give that opportunity to so many others, and especially when I got to college and I saw the high school experiences that other guys on my team had, and like how horrible it was from either their coach like not knowing the game, and like I still remember the first day of practice and our coach is teaching us help side, and like there were truly guys who didn't know what help side was, and I'm
no way.
Yes, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, but now that I'm a coach, like. It would be so amazed when I go to these high school practices and even college practices. Like it is what it is, but I go to some of these practices and I'm like, man, like these guys have no idea. Like they have no idea about the game of basketball. Like from setting a screen to using a pivot foot, and I'm talking like I'm coaching these guys in college practices, teaching them how to do a reverse pivot. Wow. And that's stuff we did every day pre-practice, what I'm saying? So, like, I've always been so fortunate for the foundation that I got in coaching, man, and it's still impactful to this day. So
yeah, I always share that same sentiment, but at the time, you're not thinking about that. Coach Vaughn couldn't coach it for good coaches.
Right.
But then once I interacted at my college level and even at the professional level, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it's eye-opening. Then you start to find a new appreciation, almost like with your parents' relationship.
Yeah.
When you're growing up, you're like, oh, they always on my back. They don't know nothing.
Yep.
And then when you hit that age, like probably like I would say 21, 22, you start to feel like, oh, wow. Like
right.
they actually knew what they was talking about.
Right.
But
it's not a wonder why they win like 80% of their games. Like when you really watch the structure they have, like half the times they step onto the court, their teams really have no chance of losing that game because they're so prepared. Like real talk though, like we would be so prepared, whether it was football or basketball. Like there was only a handful of teams every year that we knew had a chance to beat us, and it wasn't just because of our talent; it was just because of how prepared we were.
Yeah.
I never answered that question, but I started going, so it's my bad.
It's all good. Well, before we get through that, I just want to talk about the pinned tweet you have from 2018.
Man, we going to Twitter?
Yeah, we going to Twitter, baby. I know it's not a great place to be right now. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but there's also some positive stuff, even though they don't want you to see the positive stuff.
Hey.
But the pinned tweet you have I love it, though, so that's why I really wanted to touch on it. I haven't really gotten to Twitter on anybody else, but the quote is, if you love someone, you don't let them settle for less than their best. And that quote is by John Gordon. Now, John Gordon is the guy that has, is it the Energy Bus?
Yeah, he has several books, but Energy Bus is one of them.
So that's the one I have. But
yeah, okay.
But so the way I look at that is kind of could bring friction. And I know Andy Mineo is an artist I listen to a lot of his music, and he has like a similar quote in his song, where he talked to his friend, and he knew he loved the dude, and he knew it would bring friction, but he had to be honest with him. And obviously, we know in today's world, I guess probably forever, not many people are straight up honest all the time,
right? Because
they think it's better for that person. But explain what that quote means to you.
I just felt like if I know you aren't showing up as your best self, and I don't say something to you, then I'm aiding you in whatever action that is. No matter what, it can be as simple as one of my players working to a C level in the classroom where that's not their level. It could be to you how you interacting with your kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If I see anybody that I truly have a care for and I truly love, if you're not showing up as your best self, and I don't say something about it, then I'm not holding you accountable, holding you to your best self, and I just can't let that happen. And so even if sometimes you got to approach the situation when you got to tell somebody, hey, this is coming out of love, or hey, this might hurt, but you know, I understand that. But you got to be real with people, and at the same time, like I want the same with me.
Yeah.
You know, I want, when I'm not showing up as my best self, I want people to be able to say, hey, you know, what's going on here? You know, what we doing? Where you at right now? And yeah, I just think it's so important for us to strive to be our best selves, and that's how you truly love somebody is not letting them settle for anything less than their best.
The one thing about that, Krista does that well for me. Sometimes, you know, like we talked about the Andy Mineo song as well. Sometimes, you know, the confidence ain't there. We already talked about that. But she's always got the foot on the pedal and pushing me, which I love because I respond to that. That's how my dad was. That's how Coach If was. That's how Coach Vonkino was, Coach Gunther. Even Coach Hall, 8th grade coach. Like
Indian runs?
Yeah, we were blessed as, like, if you just think about that, Josh, like, who was your favorite coach? Besides Coach F. No, I'm kidding.
I always like Coach Everhart in baseball.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I like that.
Everhart,
See?
yeah.
That just goes to show, like, obviously, Nate, like, most people don't bring up Gunther because he never was the varsity coach. But JV coach, he's got a huge impact, especially in practice.
Oh yeah,
and I just wish I had a
especially
recording.
me as a point guard.
I know, yeah, because that's what, you know. But I just wish I had like a recording of him.
Oh my god!
I just want to get in there. But
Oh,
Coach
my
Gunther
goodness.
did not hesitate on ripping
You
you out
don't
the game. Yeah, he'll
You
tell
don't
you
know nothing.
Yeah, he'll tell you don't know nothing, and he'll tell your teammate to get you out. As soon as you saw that, you do something dumb on the court, and you saw the player run to the scorer's table, you knew it was your turn to sit down.
Yeah, that's right.
But those are great memories. At the time when they're happening, it ain't great, but
And we used to laugh about them though.
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
afterwards,
true,
though.
true,
Right
true.
afterwards, not in their face, but right afterwards.
oh man. So I guess to expound on the coaching, and because I do want to get to, you know, what your goals are at the end, like what do you want to be remembered as or stuff like
Yeah.
that, which I already have an idea, but we gonna share it with the audience, you know.
Hey, I love it.
But I know you coached at a lot of different places, and you brought up places that I never would have thought about, you know, you coaching, and it's great. But like, so just name a few more places besides obviously you're at Wilmington right now.
Yes, sir.
And is this your longest tenure?
Yeah, this is my longest time. I've been at a spot. You know, I went to right out of school, right after I finished at Ohio Valley University. I went to Audubon University, where I was a graduate assistant and got my master's degree. But I coached there.
What was that master's degree in?
Allied health and sports science type deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I went and was there for 2 years, and then I stayed on for an additional third year. So I was there for 3 years. Met Coach Hunt, who is the coach I work for now. I actually met him kind of one of those moments, again, getting outside your comfort zone. We were just both at the same high school game, and I didn't know him. He didn't know me. We coached against each other in the same conference, but, you know, it's not like high school where you know all these coaches that you coach against because you're right next to them. So didn't know him at all. He didn't know me at all, and I just kind of went up to him and introduced myself and just started off a cold call relationship, basically. And just so happens that next year he had an opening up on his assistant position, and, you know, he saw me out recruiting a lot and knew I was a hard worker. And we went out we actually didn't even really do a full interview. Like, we just went out and grabbed coffee and just talked for 2 hours. And you know, and that's how we got to know each other. I got to know him. He got to know me. And then he brought me down and just took me around campus and was like, hey, you know, the job's yours if you want it. Like, I love our connection, and I know, you know, you want to pour in the guys, and that's what I'm about. And so I've been there now, just finished up my 5th season. Wow.
Dang.
Right.
It's been 5
It's
already?
been 5 years, man.
Wow.
Crazy.
That is
I've had my
crazy.
first full recruiting class come through, you know what I'm saying?
That's what's up.
It's been great to see those relationships continue to grow, man, and, you know, coaching kids for 4 years at that level has been it's been awesome.
That's what's up. That's crazy. I did not know it was hard years. Wow. Oh, I like the little phrase you use, because that's what I'm going through right now in my sales job, cold call.
Yeah.
And a lot of people haven't experienced a cold call. And my goal was to get in that with Steve, because he's, the ultra businessman, salesman. But just being able to do a cold call takes a lot of, confidence socially and a lot of courage. Even if I'm confident, I'll talk to anybody, but when it's hard, man. Especially me, like going into, I've never been in this business. I got to open this door and talk to this receptionist and sweet talker to give me some information.
right.
And it's been bad. Some of them been bad.
Yeah.
My first one, and Robert Stahl, my coworker, is going to laugh at me, but my first cold call, I went to a dentist, right? And they had a whole bunch of paper stacked. So ComDoc, we sell solutions to help people get rid of paper and stuff like that. Even though we sell copier machines to make more paper too. We work on both ends. I walked in and I was saved by my ring, the Indians ring. But before she noticed, I walked in and I go, "Hello, I'm Perci. This is Robert." And
so Robert was training you?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was my mentor.
Yeah.
He goes, "Hey, you got this one by yourself." I'm like, "Oh hell." so I walk in and he's like, "Go ahead." So I'm like, "Hey, Perci, this is Robert," all that. And it was like kind of like that, silent. And I was like, "Do y'all do kids here?" And Robert just left. He couldn't hold himself together. Now, he ended up like saving me a little bit, but man, yeah, I was just at that. I was like, that didn't come out right. And Robert was like, what he meant to say is, like, what type of people do you treat here? And what he's really he's just trying to sell you a product that's going to help you. I was like, oh, shoot. And then she was like, what is that ring? So that was just the fun experiences when you get outside that comfort zone. But then after that,
yeah,
it's like that. You get a line for that roller coaster.
Yeah.
And your stomach's you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be scary.
And then you get up.
Yeah, the tink, click, click, click. And then you go over the top and you get done. You're like, oh,
I want to do it again.
Yeah. That's that Will Smith.
Yeah.
When he was talking about skydiving, was that his 50th birthday?
Yeah.
And he's like, man, we just waste a lot of energy on the worry, the fear, and then you do it. And it's like, oh, man, I just wasted. I could have been, doing some more positive things and more positive thoughts, but we do waste a lot of our time on this earth with the worry.
I've been fortunate with PGC as well to get me outside of my comfort zone with that, because like every week in the summer, you got 120 athletes coming into these sessions, and off rip, you got to connect with them, right? You got to get them to buy into what you're teaching them, so they can buy into the culture you're trying to set by the end of the week. And like every week, I get up there to lead that first classroom session. Is that moment of like, all right, like before I walk in that classroom, like I got to pump myself up every time. Like, all right, let's go. Like, you got this. Let's do this. Like, this is what you're here to do type thing. And like really talk to myself, get my mind right. Because at any time you introducing something or you starting off, man, it's just like that first initial like, am I good enough for this? Can I do this? Should I be doing this?
And I was saying yours is harder. Kids are harder to.
Oh man, they laugh in your face like in a minute.
Most adults, sometimes they, at that time when I go in, they want to be led. They want me to show them why I can, help their business.
Yeah.
But kids, they got that like, man, he don't know what he talking about.
Exactly. and like you can't. And with my players, sometimes even still, I'm still young enough that I can, like, if they not listening to my coach, and I can be like, all right, check up. This is why this isn't going to work. And I can work them out. But like at the camp, like I can't initially come up like, oh, you ain't gonna listen to me. Check up 1-on-1.
Yeah.
Like I can't, like I can't do that. So it's been.
Somebody got to record that. It'd be like the dream team practice. I got to see Micah out here like check up.
Hey,
you ain't gonna listen. I'm gonna show you why you should.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that'll be a pleasure.
You should have worked on your weak hand. I told you.
See, that's that confidence I'm talking about. But no, okay. So I guess let's just dive right into it. So what's going on in the world right now?
Oh man, it was all good just a week ago.
I know. About a week ago.
When there was only a virus, right?
I guess this is making you forget about COVID for a little bit.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, and I haven't really stressed anything on social media or anything. I kind of just been like, because I don't know. I just want to make sure I say the right thing, and I don't want to come off as, But I did see one powerful post by one of my former teammates, and he mentioned some stuff that I kind of put up with. and it was on Instagram. So he posted obviously the black screen, and he says, like the beginning was like, hey, if you've ever, been judged or ridiculed for being educated and not sounding black or something like that, and it's just like he hit home for some of the stuff that most people don't think about, and I was just like, man, I'm running a couple of these posts, and some of them are powerful, man, and it's just like my initial thing. The one thing I did post on Twitter was like, look, because the big thing right now with the kids, my son is like, imagine, that's the thing everybody's saying, imagine, like, because he's playing Fortnite, so he'll say, imagine you land at whatever one of the places are in Fortnite, Risky Reels, and there's 10 people here. So I was like, I just said on Twitter, I was like, imagine we all loved each other. Like, imagine what that would look like. Yeah. But I mean, I know that's not possible for everyone to love each other, but just I guess you just explain some of the thoughts that you going through, just with everything, just as a whole. You wouldn't have to get into specifics or anything, because I'm writing or nothing like that, but just because I actually saw someone tweet about Colin Kaepernick. So it was a white guy tweeted at Colin Kaepernick and apologized. He said, at the time, like, I didn't understand. And I don't know why this one's different.
Man, come on.
I just don't get it, but I don't understand why this one is sticking out.
It's real.
Yeah. Am I missing something that with this George Floyd one, is there something different that's why it's sticking out and getting more?
I think there's a couple avenues with that. First off, like, you said, what are you feeling right now? And frustrated. It's frustrating that it's still it's 2020 and we still having these exact same conversations that I've talked about with my grandpa, I've talked about with my father, and I'm assuming I'm going to have to talk about with my son at some point as well, just how things are, So that's frustrating. It's sad just to see a life taken like that. It's so sad. And then it also is confusing. It's very, very confusing. And I've had conflicted feelings about a lot of things, but I've had a lot of conversations with these with my friends, and just like, as a man, they always tell us like we can only have so many feelings, but it's okay to have multiple feelings right now. It's okay for one moment to see all these people reaching out and saying, hey, I'm thinking about you, I'm with you, and me feeling hopeful and me being glad they're reaching out. And it's also okay to be frustrated and upset at the exact same time. And I'm like, well, what were you doing before? Like, were you not thinking about me? Were you not understanding that it's a real fear to anytime I come in a situation, with the police, it's a real fear. In a lot of situations that I'm in, just because of my skin color, so it's okay to have all those feelings. And I think the difference right now though is that it's on all of our front porches. Yeah. It's like in the past, man, I still remember, I believe Malcolm Brown, I believe his name was, the young man that was killed in Cincinnati a couple years ago. And me and my father talked about it. Again, it was another one that was on social media. We saw it, we talked about it, and we cried over the phone about it in our conversation. And this was like 3-4 years ago, right? And just for us at that point in time, we talked about enough is enough and how we can specifically in our own circles, in our own lives, take certain types of actions that we wanted to do. Why everybody didn't see it at that time and understand it is because it was so easy that even if it made you feel uncomfortable, even if it was wrong, it still was so easy to turn to the next news thing and be like, yo, LeBron went for 50 last night. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And and it was wrong, and it upsetted you and whatnot. It was so easy to go to the next thing and be like, oh, hey, I got to go to a graduation party tonight, and then I got to go do this. And like for the first time, the world is still. Yeah. And so you can't go to the next news article. Like, even if you are tired of seeing it, hearing about it, watching on the news, like, it's popping up on SportsCenter. All right, it's popping up on your my nightly news show that I typically watch. Right, it's popping up on everything. And so like you can't turn from it no more. And now it's a time where it's like it's here. Like I can't turn it off. I can't run from it. And now we got to talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. And that makes sense because I just was like, man, why is this one sticking out so much?
Yeah, because real talk though, in our circles, and when you specifically talking about the black community, every time one of these happens, you talk about it with somebody, and somebody reaches out to you in your circle, like, man, can you believe this? Can you talk? And we talk about it, and we talk about, oh, this cop actually got off for that one that just happened 3 weeks ago. And it's not all cops, but it's Ahmad or whatever, like how this happened, and we all talk about it. But again, it's not everybody that's talking about it. And so now for the first time, everybody's talking about it, and it's taking America by storm. It's taking the world by storm for real.
Yeah, and the one thing I also like, just touching on what I just spoke about by my former teammate and his Instagram post, like I always thought about that, like, because a lot of white or black, it wouldn't matter. I would get that from every angle, and it bothered me. It bothered me where I'd be sitting there.
That's a real one.
And I'm like, and they'd be like Percy, man, you ain't that black. Yeah. And I'm like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
And I would catch them, because then they'd be like, well, no. I'm like, so what about me is not black?
Yeah.
Because I'm educated. I speak different.
Speak on it.
I'm like, how, like, tell me how to be blacker.
Yeah.
And then that's when they're like, that's not how I meant it. I'm like, there's no other way.
Yeah, no, that's real. Like that's a real thing you have to learn how to grow in that confidence, right? Because for us, growing up in a predominantly white school, predominantly white area, so subconsciously, like, you can't. There's a certain way you act if you're acting too black. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, I got to act a certain way. I know for specifically when I went to college, man, I was so geeked that the majority of my team was black. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I was expecting to walk in the locker room, and then I was like, whoa, all right, let's go.
Yeah, I was hyped because I was like, man, I'm tight with Perci. Like, I knew our relationship, and then like everybody else that's been black that I've been on a team with, whether it was Isaiah Hill or anybody, like I've been cool with, right? So I'm thinking like, oh, well, I'm about to be boys with everybody in my locker room, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember like after like, that first week of class, and like dudes were like, oh yeah, Micah, he talked like he a white boy. He talked like he a white boy, and I'm like, what? What's that even mean?
Like, what are you talking
about? Because I answered questions in class. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because I articulate myself, and so now all of a sudden, like, you go for two extremes where it's like, man, like, you almost feel at times like you're not black enough for your black friends.
Yep.
You're not white enough for your white friends. And then at the end of the day, you gotta be like, nah, man, I'm me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm me. And once you get that confidence in life, in any, no matter who you are, whether you're a white person, black person, no matter who, a woman, a man, like whatever, like once you get that confidence that I'm me and you can be me in any environment, like that's when you can truly become who you want to be. And that's what's frustrating right now, right? Is everybody, like, when we feel like you're not letting me be me, and it's a danger to be me.
Yeah.
That's when you see what you see.
Yeah.
Like, you telling me it's a danger to be me. Like, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, and you shouldn't.
Yeah.
The one thing you said about that, I wanted to say, I don't know if you've seen it. You probably have, because you've probably seen every Fresh Prince episode. Remember when Carlton was trying to get into that, was it a fraternity or something, and Will – the dude was like, yeah, Will, you can get in, but Carlton, we can't let him go in.
Yeah.
Because he's a sellout.
Yeah, he a sellout.
And Carlton, like, went off on him. I was like, he kind of said everything. And to me, that bothered me, like, early on, especially in college. When dudes would get frustrated at me, whether – this is about to get silly – whether if I destroyed them in a video game, hurt their pride, or just did something to them on the court or at practice and just, made them kind of feel some type of way, then they would attack me personally, and they thought that was a way. And at the time it was. Would get under my skin. Like, what? What do you mean I'm black? Like, come on, guys. But now I'm just like you said, like, it really, when people say that, I just like laugh. Like,
exactly.
I'm like, that's not a good comment to say, bro, but it's all good.
Yeah.
Like, it's whatever.
I go in. I go in. I'm like, so articulate that. What you mean? What you mean? I'm not like, let's talk about it, because when you talk about things, though, hopefully the next time they think about that statement, they think about what they're saying.
Yeah.
And so many people just think on their thoughts. Like, that's a thought in your head because you jealous.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like let's.
Okay. So you like it.
But I had to grow in that confidence, man. My freshman year, like, I struggled with that a ton.
See, I wouldn't have thought that about you, though.
Yeah.
Just because I know, like, if they know your family or they know my background, like, my background is, my name is not. So, Percival, but just like what I've gone through is, and I don't think the adversity you face is what makes your skin color what it is.
No.
But that was my fight back. Like, what are you talking about? I went through that, did all this.
Yeah.
And because they always just like, yeah, you was probably rich and all that. I'm like,
same.
My gosh.
Right. And because my dad lived close to OVU.
Okay.
And at the time, like that's when me and my pops got super close, right? Over those couple of years, because he lived in Marietta.
Oh, okay.
And then he actually worked with our team. So he worked on campus as well.
Oh, okay.
After I think like middle of my freshman year, sophomore year, he got hired at the campus to do ministry work over there. Type
Really?
Stuff. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they would see that as well and be like, oh yeah, you're like, your daddy been in your life like this, that, and the third type thing, and I'm like, man.
And to me, that is just so comical,
right?
Bro. You ain't black because you got a dad,
right? hey, that's wild though, right?
Yes,
that's wild.
That is wild.
We think that about ourselves too.
Yes.
That's what's crazy.
Yes, because a white person would never say that. They know better. Look at John. But. Man, I might have to have your dad on here, man. I just want to hear him say, "Watch this."
Yeah, Harry, you already know. Watch this.
Watch this.
Now,
y'all don't know
the
Micah's
real
dad.
thing is, hey man, me and my dad rapped yesterday for about 2.5 hours.
Really?
It was so good. Yeah, we've gotten to that place.
Y'all might start y'all should start your own podcast.
Hey, the world ain't ready for that.
Oh man, well I'm it's about that dinner time. The wife is probably cooking it up for us, but it was a pleasure to have you on, Mike. To be honest, this went way better than I thought. Everyone else I did have questions ready, right. But I was like, man, this is Micah. This is my brother. We just gonna get it going. We got a microphone on our face, but we can talk about anything together. So that's what we did, and I'm happy about it. And what you feel about it? I mean, a lot of people after the podcast, after we click the podcast over, they're like, man, that was fun. I'm like, yeah, we was just talking.
Yeah, I was about to say, that
was on the airwaves.
This is like, it's fun because we always say, like, man, if our life was a movie, like, how like it would
the
be.
Basements of Eric.
Hey, Bad Boys 4, what's up? Hit us up. But
that would be too funny, man.
It's nothing but love and good times anytime we get together, man, even if they're tough times. So
well, we'll have to have you on again. I know you about to get deep into the basketball season, but we'll figure something out.
Am I though? I hope we have a season. I don't know yet.
Oh, okay. It's still up.
Let's get deep into the season. I really hope we get deep into the basketball season.
Yeah, do that.
I really do.
And I want to be able to watch you, because I love watching you coach. Watching Micah coach is hilarious. But but no, yeah. So we're gonna have just I guess should we give him a little sneak peek of who we gonna be having on next?
Go for it.
We're gonna have we're gonna have Steve Van Horn back on for part 2. We're gonna have I'm trying to get Eric Williams on here to talk about
murder.
talk about his expertise, and that's rehabbing and the body and exercise and all that. And we all know I need exercise. We're also gonna have a special guest, C. Grant. Hopefully we can get him on here soon. He's gonna be traveling from PA to come here. He said, I got to come see you person in the studio. I was like, you sure you don't want to do a virtual? He was like, no, I'm coming to the studio. So I'm excited. No pressure, Josh.
I have to get that new table set up.
Oh, man. But I would love to have like a group one of these days, maybe this time next year, we could just have, all the homies, hopefully. Maybe Colbert. Colbert talk enough for a podcast?
Oh, man.
Anyways, that's what we got up for sneak peek. But if you want to tune into more content, I stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays, twitch.tv/Perci Garner. So, if you ain't even in video games, we can talk about anything, just like what I do on this podcast. Pretty soon I will be posting on YouTube. So there's a YouTube channel where you can find all these podcasts, and now we do video, even though we did have some technical difficulties in here, but we figured it out. We persevered. And, but again, I appreciate Micah stopping by. Appreciate Josh for producing, and, Peace, love, and happiness.
That's how you close your shows?
That's not how I close it, but I'm about to. I want to get
Percy
real
needs
close
some
to
help closing.
That's how you close your shows, man.
Any suggestions? I want to get real close to the mic and be like, yeah, you know. But I ain't got that, Isaac. We got a voice changer in here. But no, yeah, we got to work on that. But yeah, make sure you can tune in this podcast everywhere. Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, all of it. And I want feedback. Leave comments. Don't just listen and then bounce. You know, let's talk about it.
Right.
But you guys,
hey, love what you're doing, man. Appreciate you having me on the show. It's great to see it grow, and love how you and Josh are connecting and just getting different stories out there, trying to inspire people, connect people. Connection is everything. Everybody keep talking about, hey, what can I do right now? What can we do, man? Connect and love people. That sounds so simple, but connect and love people. Everybody that's reached out to me and has said some type of segment on how they feel, why they feel, the reason why they feel that way is because they have a connection with me. So the more people you connect with, the more people you love, man, the more you're going to try to spread everything that we need in this world, and that's love, man.
That's true. I like it. We should play any Minio song at the end right now. I know we can't with the copyright reasons, but he got a song called Love. But yeah. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Get Level Podcast Network. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
It feels like Casablanca. Shouted you my little mama. I got a crib out of water. Say me Casa su casa. It feels like Casablanca. Shouted you my little mama. She be on that Henny. I like that Corona.